Canada's telecom regulator ordered two of the biggest network operators to allow smaller rivals to sell service using their networks at prescribed rates, all within 6 months. In response, the largest, BCE, parent company of this network, said it would slash its planned spending on network build-out by $1 billion. Maybe that's an unintended consequence, maybe it's sour grapes, but will consumers ultimately benefit? Paul Andersen is president of the Competitive Network Operators of Canada and is president of eGate Networks. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me, Amanda.
So let's start right there. This, of course, allows folks that are part of your consortium to sell using this fiber to the home, the kind of last mile to homes. The big telcos would say they've spent billions of dollars building this out. Is this a fair approach to competition?
We think so. This is a well-tested model that has existed in the competitive scape for almost 3 decades. We saw that with earlier internet technologies, and we don't understand how that's any different. We've heard the comments that have been made about the decision by the big players, and I just point out they've made these comments before when previous technologies were mandated, and it didn't come to pass. The networks continued to be built.
And in the case of Bell, one of the arguments that it made for its reaction is that this only applies in the East. It said there's just as much network build out in the West. Why is there this disparity? Were you surprised that this applies only to a part of the market?
We were surprised and a bit disappointed that it was a partial. We would have liked to have seen this rolled out across the country so all Canadians can benefit from this. But we understood that the CRTC was trying to make a quick impact. There has been a lot of pressure on smaller players due to regulatory issues in the past, and the Commission put this process in place earlier this year to try and bring some quick relief based on the direction they got from Minister Champagne late last year, who put a direction in that this kind of competition was essential for Canadians and bringing prices down for Canadians.
Yeah, one of the things the regulator noted is that in Ontario and Quebec, competition is down 47% in the last couple of years. Both Bell and TELUS, the two players who are concerned here, have acquired independents. Paul, what's the kind of story there? Should they not be allowed to acquire the smaller players? Does that lessen competition, or as one of them, is that a good outcome for some of those independents?
I don't think we have a problem inherently with our organizations getting acquired. I think that's natural in any business market. I think our concern was when you had regulatory issues under the previous commission that was stifling the competition that was required. When you see this mass exodus without any new entrants coming in, it was just starting to show market failure. But the commission has seen that and put it in, and we've already seen a bit of an uplift. In fact, one of the larger independents, Tech Savvy, made it very clear just this week that they are not for sale and planning to continue to offer Canadians choice.
Bell immediately said it would reduce its planned spend to build out additional capacity, a new network. What's your take on that?
This, like I said, this is a comment that's been made by large players previously. The threat that investment will be at risk. We simply haven't seen it. The commission looked at that in great deal in their competition, did not see that to be a material factor. And like I said, we've not seen that play out. I'd also point out there are a lot of other companies out there putting fiber in the ground, including some of our members. So if Bell does choose to cancel some projects, I think we'll continue to see the fiber built to homes, including in metro and even rural areas where many of levels of government have picked up and helped co-fund some of these investments. Good
to have you with us for this, Paul. Appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me.
Paul Andersen is president of the Competitive Network Operators of Canada, is also president of eGate Networks. Time for the takeaway and why honesty is always the best policy. Ontario is joining the ranks of provinces that will require employers to post salary ranges along with job postings. It's part of a move to more transparency on pay that, in theory at least, should help level the playing field. But as we all know, theory and practice can sometimes be only distantly related. In Ontario, the provincial government is getting credit for a new law that's actually a law created 5 years ago by the previous government and delayed until now. But let's call it better late than never and ask, is transparency a good thing? On the one hand, knowing the market value for a job can help workers in negotiations and reduce the chances that two different candidates will have very different expectations. Take transparency a step further, as the previous law did, and it also gives employees the right, without fear of penalty, to discuss salaries. Historically, more transparency has made salaries rise as those who need to play catch-up are raised to the right place. But this kind of leveling can come with some headaches too. Jobs are rarely completely identical, and different skills can be valued in different and subjective ways. So employers will have to brace themselves for some tough conversation about why one salary is higher than another. To the extent that that forces employers to have a better, less subjective system for pay valuation, that can only be to the good. And while it may mean wages rise, creating a higher expense for employers, it has the benefit of being driven by market forces. The gap between genders and also for minority groups should narrow with transparency, though in practice, federally, the improvements have been minuscule. My takeaway? Shedding light on the true value of work benefits all employees. And in the dark world of pay gaps, sunlight is definitely the best disinfectant. That's Taking Stock for this week. I'm Amanda Lang. Thanks for being with us.